They continuously deliver and they learn. They continuously learn as well. Everyone makes mistakes, they learn. Three is everyone understands why we're doing something. Like what is the meaning? Like they're all bought into the vision or the end goal.
Most of the companies preach about failing fast, try new things, but if you fail, they keep a black mark on you and say, hey, at this time we didn't deliver, right? So that's completely against what you're preaching. So this, what Roshan talked about, our topic is everything around team performance and how to differentiate a good team, bad team, the term as it goes, the high performing team. Yeah, so let's start.
Maybe we should start with defining what is a high performing team.
I can start. So in my mind, there are different aspects to high performing team, but how do you define high performing team? I think for me is by the impact that the team makes on the organization, whether it's for the internal stakeholders or for the consumers. The team should be like really solving problems in an innovative way, and they consistently deliver over a period of time. So I think that's how I would define high performing team.
And just to add to that, I would also add resilient team, well balanced, because there's no like single stars pulling the weight. It's like evenly spread and consistent outcome, and feeling safe to come up with questions, creativity, and all that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I think as you said, it's a hard definition, but from talking through examples, right? So a team who you can depend on, you give them a task, give them a project, you trust that they will deliver. It's not about individuals, whether they are highly skilled, whether they are highly educated, but that trust factor that you have, that that they'll pull it through, they'll get it done, and that building that perception, whether you're high performing or not, right, to the rest of the organization is what I find very very common in any kind of high performing team, whether you are in IT, whether you are in banking or finance, whatever the domain. But that trust factor that they'll get it done, and also they'll get it done in the best possible way, not just cookie cutter, right? So that's how I look at it.
I actually all of you all came brought up really good points. I agree with everything. I think it's a combination of everything that you said. One thing I do want to ask here is what about external factors? Because does a team become high performing if we leave them alone and don't disturb them? Or what if there's a lot of, noise and distraction and, changing timelines? Especially why I'm asking this question is because I'm experiencing that this last couple of years in my work a lot, right? And it seems to have changed. This is the norm now. I want to pick your brains to see can teams still be high performing in that environment?
Yeah, I think question, right? I think one thing that's constant is the change, right? So there's always changing. And one of the salient characteristics of a high performing team is agility. They respond to the change really fast and really well. Because it's a high performing team, they adjust.
A very very good point. The other day I was actually thinking, see, if you look at the, so this question about the environment, right? The environment where this team performs at a very high level. I was actually trying to draw this Venn diagram in my head. The technology companies have three categories in my head. I have actually worked in two categories. I have not worked in one. I think Prashant has worked in the other category. There are startups, then there are enterprises where the core domain is non-technical, but they're trying to use technology as an enabler. And then there are tech giants, or rather the big tech companies, where their core is technology and their business is technology, right? Those are three categories. Either you're a startup, you're trying to solve something, you're really small, your performance is viewed very differently in a startup world, or you are an enterprise where we all have worked with those, right? They're big in a domain and they use technology as a enabler. There's how we are being perceived in that performance there is one category, and then you're a tech giant. So that each environment brings its own pros and cons. Maybe we look at it from those three and then sort of define what's the right environment and what you should provide to a team to operate in their best. Do you guys agree on those three, or are there more?
I would look at it a little differently, Anjan. I think, the reality is teams exist in all the different environments. And regardless of the environment, team can be high performing. Because, not all teams are made equal. Not all teams have, superstars. Like the teams are made of different backgrounds. But regardless, right, I think a team can be high performing within that context. So I think we can still talk about, like, regardless of your environment, regardless of the challenges, regardless of the resources you have, how can you be a high performing team? That's how I think.
Yeah. It's in those Venn diagrams here that you draw. I think if you take away the technology part, like tools and technology part, I think I agree with Asanka. Like the essence of the team still remains, right? How the environment is set up, how the leaders um, behave or bring the team together. But I wanted to touch on culture though. Like there is a special culture with mega companies like Roshan's Atlassian or Google. There is a special culture around these technology teams that I feel like the product companies probably aren't there. Any thoughts on that? Like they have different environment.
I'm loving this discussion, right? I I would tend to agree with Asanka here because I think at the core, the properties of a high performing team are common across whatever element they are part of, right? And recently, now I've changed roles, right? I'm in this management role, so this is like something I'm always thinking about. I came across this research that Google put together. They call it the Aristotle Project, I think, right? And they looked at various different teams across the spectrum and came up with these five properties of a high performing, of an effective. One is very interesting. I think you guys talked about it when you were describing your definition. So psychological safety, meaning the ability to share your ideas and feel comfortable and spar, but not get, you know, not cross a line, right? Another one was structure. So everyone knows their roles. He was talking about it, right? They self-organize and they they deliver, right? They continuously deliver and they learn. They continuously learn as well. Everyone makes mistakes, they learn. Three is everyone understands why we're doing something. Like what is the meaning? Like they're all bought into the vision or the end goal. And they're given the freedom to express their creativity. Software is a creative sport. I always say creativity. They can express their creativity. And then I think I might be missing some of this, but one was I think dependability, where everyone, like, it goes hand in hand with the roles, but everyone, you can depend on your teammate, and someone will cover them if something goes wrong or someone is not available. These things contribute towards having an effective team. um, have you guys seen that? What are your thoughts?
So on the same line, so these factors, these are like what you make sure the context is set right, so that team can naturally perform better, right? Like for instance, most of the companies preach about failing fast, trying new things, but if you fail, they keep a black mark on you and say, hey, at this time we didn't deliver, right? So that's completely against what you're preaching. So this, what Roshan talked about is sort of setting the context, preaching and practicing what you're preaching, so that teams can sort of perform better, work better, be effective.
I can I add to that? So this is something we do at Atlassian, right? We actually to the fail fast. We want that, right? We want teams to try things and fail fast, but know how to get out of that. We don't want like extended downtime. So we have a lot of processes in place to mitigate things like that. But if you're not failing, something we always preach to everyone. And it in our performance appraisal, that's a good thing you brought up. That's a separate topic on its own. But we do not, at least we try not to black mark teams or individuals just because they failed. It's about how they overcame that failure. Right? Everyone makes mistakes. But like if you didn't do anything about it, then that's a black mark. Learn something out of it, right? Then it's actually a positive. It's a very strong positive.
So that's what you refer to as the psychological safety. You are actually encouraged to fail fast. You are encouraged to take risk. That's acknowledged and supported, I think. And I
And the
also
culture of, I was going to say, and the culture of seeking and accepting feedback should be open, transparent.
I was thinking for the people who are listening, right? For the listeners to understand, if you are a team, if you are part of a team, for you to understand what is failing fast, I'll just throw my definition and then the rest of the gentlemen come up with their. So as we know, we are problem solvers, right? What we do is we solve a problem. When you have to solve a problem, there are many ways of doing that. And at the beginning of solving the problem, you only have multiple plans, plan A, B, plan C. There might be not sequence, but multiple ways to get to that solution. If you stick to one path and if you are deeply rooted to that path and try to go down that no matter what happens is you will either not get the solution out or you will get the solution, but you will be way too late. The failing fast for me is try out one solution because at a given time you can't do all the solutions, right? Try out one and then measure your outcomes, see the run rate that you're going, whether you can go to the end. If it's not working, switch and switch it. That's what it means. It's not delivering projects all the time. It's about try this approach and then you sense it's not the right thing for this solution. It's a self-belief and it's also accepting that you made a mistake, but that's all right. That's the whole point. And then switch to the other one and take that learning with you. Take that as experience. That's what the failing fast actually means. It's not failing to deliver everything at the end of the release. It's not that. So that's
Plus one to that, Anjana. That's exactly what we also encourage, right? I mean, and we definitely don't want delivery at the end. That world is, it's about incremental delivery across the timeline of the project, right? And also to that, Anjana, what is important at the beginning though is coming up with, like you said, those approaches, plan A, plan B, plan C. There's a lot of thought process that goes in when we review those plans. And we try and pick ones that are not, have you heard of the term one-way door versus two-way doors? Right?
mm,
We try to pick plans that are two-way doors, which is you're not putting yourself in a corner. Means if you go down that path, you're kind of like stuck. So we try to break it up into things that are always two-way doors, saying that okay, we go down, we make a decision. Is this working or not? Do we proceed? Or here's the next thing we're going to pivot to, right? And so the up this at the upfront, we spend a lot of more time on in that, preparing. So then the teams have the freedom to now execute.
I wanted to echo the same thing. There's so many benefits and what I call in my company ugly demos because I love ugly demos. Because some teams like they hold back and they wanted to impress everyone and it takes a long time. Just show me the ugly demo because it has so many benefits. The product and the stakeholders feel like they belong in the growth of the application together. So they all like buy into it if we show incremental value to your point.
yeah. I think I keep telling my teams this in a different way. Progress over perfection. That's exactly what ugly demo mean, right? Some progress. keep adding, keep changing. If something is not working, try the other way, and then keep going. That's eventually, if you try to summarize most of the management book, at least the ones that I have read, it's progress over perfection, nothing else. Because no one,
I say that a little differently. I say, don't let the perfection be the enemy of good.
You guys are all preaching the same thing. Nice. That's
yeah.
really nice to hear from
So,
four
so
corners of the world. Right? That's pretty
Yeah.
right.
cool.
Yeah, it's true.
So from
I
a team's point of view, we talked about the failing fast. We kind of explained the progress part of it. What other factors a team needs to be effective, high performing, or good?
So I want to bring up another point. I think, Roshan, you spoke about this part of the Google findings, right? Meaningful work. Because for me, I feel like end of the day, the primary building block of a team is the individual. So unless you are doing meaningful work, like you cannot be part of a high performing team. Like you can't contribute effectively. So I would like to double click that into that a little bit more and understand what does it mean to be doing meaningful work.
So I think what Anjana also asked a similar question, saying what are the other factors? One of the factors is actually the role of management here. And I will tie it to what you just said, Asanka. It's the role of the manager here that is able to identify the strengths and weaknesses of everyone in that team and share this is the goal we want to get to. This is why we're doing it, right? And figure out how does this individual fit in so they are also self-invested in this meaningful work. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I think of it. And so one of these external factors, I feel management actually plays a big role in keeping this team together, you know, and every team goes through their own cycles, right? But keeping it balanced and finding the motivation for each individual to be able to make an impact and deliver. What do you guys think?
Totally agree. Like I can bring up an example that how impactful giving the big picture is. Like everyone, when they understand the big picture, they have renewed purpose of what they do. Like in the past, I've worked with an individual who was like working in a very isolated, let's say Python script area, doesn't know ins and outs, like it knows input and comes output, but didn't know where it fits. So after working through and explaining where this piece fits in the larger organization, this individual become very energetic and was able to implement it in Snowflake, Databricks, and other places. And it's now an integral part of our operation. So that's an example. And at times, non-technology companies, I think it doesn't happen so much, unfortunately. So they are all like more of an authoritarian environment where you are given budget and goals to do. So the teams are evaluated based on the schedule and the quality. That's it.
Yeah, I think at the individual level, so what you guys spoke about is that alignment. I think there are two more ingredients in my mind. At the individual level, you also need to have the skill set and you need to be passionate about what you're trying to accomplish within that team. So it has to be a good fit in terms of alignment, passion, and your skills. That's when you can become like a high contributing member of the team.
I have a example. I only can connect the dots now. When we were I was in a startup and that got acquired by Cisco in the US. When we were little, like when we were like 25 member, I was one of the engineering leads. The founder, every time he comes from the US to Sri Lanka, he says, "This is the problem. We need you guys to solve it. This is the addressable market. This is our target. This is the market share. It's a good opportunity. This is for ours to lose." That's what he says. This opportunity is ours to lose. I didn't quite understand that really until very late. But once I realized it, that's how you make sure, that's how you onboard team members with the curiosity, with the opportunity. It's not you're writing code or you're creating a platform. This is this opportunity. There is a market gap. No one in the world has fixed it. It's your opportunity to go and fix it. That sort of sharing vision is, I think, helps me get into build that passion, build that motivation so that I know I'm not writing 100 lines of code a day, or I'm making sure my team is writing 100 lines per head. It's solving this problem which no one has solved so far. The business creates that opportunity for you, and now it's for you to go shoot the building, right? You to get the opportunity. So that's what I think. Once that context is set properly, if you are a natural problem solver and if you really want to be thrive in the team, you would get there. But most of the companies don't do that. They don't give you that context. They don't tell you what you can lose if you don't do it.
Anjana, I love that story. That's so nice, and I feel a lot of people can learn from that of how to engage team and get them all bought in, right? I want to change it a little bit, right? So far we've been talking a lot about top down, like how management's role in setting up the team, building them in such a way, and the properties of a team. What about an engineer? So I'm in a team, right? My role, like how do I be better, and how do I try and get the team towards being more effective? What do you guys think?
Okay, I'll start. For me, my learning, if I talk to my younger self as an engineer, yes, by default, you have to know your data structures, algorithm, frameworks, whatever. Learn the business, learn the domain, understand how this business makes money. That's the key. That is never taught in any of the, you do a BSc or a master's, you're still not told this. This is something new to realize. Once you learn the business, once you learn the domain, once you are at a domain expert, regardless of whether you're a testing engineer or a software engineer, once you know the domain, you prioritize the business, know the domain that you're in. Over to you guys.
I can take the next one. Just to add to that, that's a fantastic one. Another one, a different angle is the personal brand, right? So every person needs to know, okay, who am I going to be known as? So you basically create your own profile. Is Sean trustworthy? Is he friendly? And then you act with every interaction you get, whether it's email or conversation. Because most of us, when I was young, I was only thinking like I need to keep my boss happy and bosses happy. That's it. But I wasn't paying attention to the side signals. But guess what? When it comes to performance reviews and promotion consideration, they look at peer reviews, right? So that could come back and interfere your growth. So I would say personal branding and making sure you do a positive outcome.
Maybe I can add to that. I love these examples. By the way, okay, I'm enjoying this. Let's see, what can I add? I think one thing that I would encourage everyone, and I think we all have shown this in our careers as well, is always having that seek to understand approach, like growth mindset, like how do I get better today, right? Whether it's like you said, understanding the business or understanding, my peer teams, how can we work better together, or going deeper in my space so that I'm an expert in that space and I'm the go-to person. I that honestly, for me personally, as I was an engineer, my goal was to be the go-to guy, right? For in whatever project or whatever I was doing, my always goal was I want to be the guy. I want to be the go-to guy. If there's a problem, talk to Roshan. He's going to figure this out with the team, right? So, but like that, different things, right? Have that growth mindset every day. How am I going to be better? And automatically, that is a what's the word? It's going to spread to the whole team, and everyone's going to see that, and
Influence.
automatically everyone gets better. Influence. There you go. Best. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say, like, regardless whether you're engineer or not, you need to be able to enjoy your work. You need to bring your best self. Like, you need to feel like I want to go and get this done. You need to be working in a like line of work that really aligns with your passion and with your skills. Like, I think that's when you can give the best. You can't put a square peg in a hole. So you have to find like what's the right fit for you and what brings out the best in you. And you should give your best.
Really good ones. And I think if you have a team with these mindsets, right? Even if people leave, If the core, everyone still has the same primitives and a new person joins, they automatically build these same properties, right? And I think that keeps this team still moving. Or even if the team grows, if at the core the team has the same mindset, it will continue to be effective and high performing. You think
Exactly.
so? Yeah.
Cool.
Great conversation.
Great conversation.